continuing to cut is not the best model. Where you can really grow. And so, I wrote a post on LinkedIn about, okay, enough with the freaking layoffs. Like if that's your only strategy for growth, there's something seriously wrong here. And I truly believe that. So I was working with a company about a year ago, and they came to me and they said, we want to develop an AI strategy. I said, okay, great. What's your people strategy? They go, no, we want to talk about technology. Like, which large language model should we pick? Should we go with OpenAI or Anthropic? Or I'm like, I want to know what your people strategy is. And they're like, okay, well, we're going to entertain her because we paid her for the day. We'll just go along with this. So I said, okay, so here's how I look at this, is that you have people as an asset. So what if for 1 year you decided not to lay off anybody? And that you put the CHRO in charge of reskilling and repurposing. That means that you need to actually understand everything that everybody is doing currently and look at how could you integrate AI to make the parts of the job that we don't really like doing or, are kind of boring or laborious, how could you make that better? And I said, and don't decide you as a leader what doesn't work. So step 1 is don't lay anybody off, at least for a year. Step 2 is education and reskilling is number 1. Now let's practice empathy leadership. Let's go and ask the employees what doesn't work for them, because they do this every single day. And if you create a psychologically safe environment where they can tell you the truth, they'll tell you what doesn't work and what doesn't make sense. So now take that feedback and now start to help them see how technology could aid that. And at the same time, talk to your customers and ask them what they don't like about their experience. It could be a chatbot, probably a chatbot, right? I don't know. It's like AI is going to take over the world, but we can't get a chatbot to answer a customer's question.
Yeah, that's
a whole other topic, right?
They're terrible.
They're terrible. They are. They have the potential, right? So go and ask your customers what they don't like about the experience. Press 1 for, press 2 for, press 64 for. Old ways, structure, how we service, processes, and then ask them questions about products and services. So now you have the employees contributing about today what doesn't work in the organization. You're going to learn so much about your company and what would be better if, despite, forget about the technology, let's just fix the things that aren't really working. And that's why I asked about the people strategy. Let's talk to your customers and understand what really doesn't work there. And I think at the top of all of this, I said AI was the catalyst to really change things. So if, and this is like, if it's 72 font bold, right? If we take the time to slow down, to go fast, to investigate these things, then we're going to make the right decisions about the people, about the employees and the customers, our processes, and only then should we apply AI. So I did this with a company. They went through this process. So what happened was the employees are not quite quitting. They're really excited. In the beginning, they're like, we don't trust anybody, and you're asking us about these things about our job because you're just going to replace us. There was a lot of organizational change and trust building and psychological safety because it wasn't that kind of culture. So we got over that. And then the employees got excited because they're like, oh, well, this is like a new learning opportunity. And there's always some people are like, forget it, I'm going to retire. I'm going to go do something else, right? But you need to know that. We found a much more motivated employee base that was excited and saw the art of the possible. And we saw customers go, wow, you guys, you're not robotic anymore. You actually care. You're trying to make this better. And just, maybe the bot still doesn't work, but at least you're trying. And you're like, when you answer my questions, you're not like doing the I'm sorry dance. You're like, okay, the house is on fire. You're going to get the hose. Fantastic. I feel heard, seen. I'm going to stay loyal. So now you have a customer base that is really like excited about continuing to be a customer. So a year later, what they did was they looked at that extra time that the employees had and they said, okay, instead of laying all those people off because we could get productivity gains, right? So we could just like take those salaries, cross them off the P&L and go, look how much more profitable we are because we don't have these costs. So what we did was we actually looked at the idea of what if we could make the products and services that the customers were asking for? And what if we take that feedback and we ourselves could think of things that they are not thinking of, right? I think Henry Ford said that nobody thought that they wanted a car, right? They said they wanted a faster horse,
Right.
right? So that whole concept of you're taking that feedback, you're integrating it, and you're like innovating. So flash forward a year later, they were able to leapfrog their competition. And that's what I'm talking about. Like, enough with the layoffs. Let's change up our strategy. Let's really become people-centric and use technology as a way to enable the people.